chosen one. Let me ask you something nobody else has had the courage to ask you. Why has life always hit you harder than it hit everybody else? Why do you keep standing after things that should have destroyed you? Why do you feel so deeply, carry so much, and yet cannot find a single word to explain why? Most people would have quit. Most people did quit, but not you. You are still here, still breathing, still fighting something inside you that you cannot even name. And the world told you that meant something was wrong with you. But I am here right now, in this moment, to tell you the most important truth you have never been told. You were never broken. You were being built. What you called weakness was actually depth. What you called sensitivity was actually spiritual sight. What you called exhaustion was actually the weight of a calling too large for ordinary shoulders. The Bible says it plainly in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, struck down, but not destroyed. That was written for you, not for the ones who coasted through life, for the ones who endured it. A lighthouse was not built in calm water. Steel was not formed in comfort. And a tree whose roots grow 40 feet underground before a single branch appears above the soil, that tree cannot be moved by any storm. That tree is you. Isaiah declared it. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. But waiting is not weakness. Waiting is preparation. God does not delay the chosen ones. He develops them. Jeremiah 1-5 says, He knew you before you were formed, before your first heartbreak, before your first failure, before the nights you cried alone and wondered if God had forgotten your name. He had not forgotten. He was finishing something in you. You have survived too much for your life to be ordinary. So the real question is not whether you are strong. The real question is, why was that strength placed in you in the first place? Before we go deeper, if this is already speaking to something you have never been able to explain, write this below right now. There is more in me than I knew, because you are not still here by accident. You are still here because something inside you refused to die. Why you never felt like everyone else. You have been in a room full of people laughing, people talking, people moving through life like it weighed nothing, and you stood there, smiling on the outside, carrying something on the inside that nobody in that room could see. And the loneliest part was not that you were alone. The loneliest part was that you were surrounded and still felt invisible. You have felt this your entire life, and for decades, you have never been able to explain it. You were the one who felt everything too deeply. You were the one who stayed up at night carrying burdens that weren't even yours to carry. You were the one holding your family together while your own heart was quietly coming apart at the seams. At work, they called you too serious. In church, they called you too intense. In your marriage, in your friendships, in your family, somewhere along the way, someone looked at you and said, without using those exact words, "You are too much." And some part of you believed them. You started shrinking, softening your voice, swallowing your instincts, apologizing for the very depth that God placed inside you. And tonight, I need to look you directly in the eye and tell you that was the greatest lie ever spoken over your life. Because what they called too much was actually more than enough. What they called too sensitive was actually spiritual awareness operating at a frequency they could not reach. What they called too deep was actually a soul built for waters that shallow people were never meant to swim in. Psalm 56:8 says, God collected every one of your tears in a bottle. He kept a record of every single one. That means not one sleepless night was forgotten. Not one silent cry went unnoticed. Every moment you held it together in public and then wept alone in the car, heaven witnessed it, and heaven counted it. You were never invisible to God. You were protected from the wrong eyes. Now let me speak directly to those of you who have been walking this road for 40, 50, 60 years or more. You have been the strong one for so long that people forgot to ask if you were okay. You raised children while grieving things you never processed. You showed up for everyone else while your own dreams gathered dust in a corner. You sat in pews every Sunday, sang every hymn, kept every commitment, and still came home to a quiet ache that sermons never quite reached. You watched people around you move through life lightly, like they were carrying a backpack, and you were carrying something that felt more like a boulder, and you never complained, because that is not who you are. But here is what I need you to hear right now. That boulder was not punishment. That weight was not proof that God forgot you. That heaviness was the specific gravity of a calling that ordinary people were never assigned to carry. A violin string tuned tighter than all the rest does not make a weaker sound. It makes a higher one. It reaches notes the other strings cannot touch. That is you. A river that runs deep does not make noise the way shallow water does. It does not splash and rush and call attention to itself. It moves with quiet, immense force. It carves canyons. It sustains entire regions. It never stops. That is you. A watchman does not sleep when the city sleeps. He sees what others cannot see. He carries awareness that others do not carry. And there are nights long, dark, quiet nights when he wonders if anyone even notices he is standing guard. God noticed. God always noticed. John 15:19 says it with absolute clarity. I chose you out of the world, not rejected by the world, chosen out of it. There is a difference that should shake something loose inside you right now. You were never left out. You were set apart. And 1 Peter 2:9 confirms it. You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a peculiar people. Peculiar does not mean broken. Peculiar means specifically selected for a purpose that requires someone uncommon. The pain of never fitting in was not a curse. It was evidence. Evidence that your spirit was engineered for something that the comfortable, the ordinary, and the easily satisfied were never built to carry. If you were never meant to fit into shallow places, then maybe the pain of not fitting was never the problem. Maybe it was always the proof. Romans 8:28 does not say that some things work together for good. It says all things. Every dismissal, every decade of silent endurance. Every moment someone looked at you and could not understand what they were looking at. All of it. Working. Together. For good. What made other people misunderstand you may be the very thing heaven trusted you with. And if you have spent years, decades asking God why you have always felt different from everyone else, type this right now. I was set apart, not left out. Because what was being formed inside you during all those years of feeling different was never meant to fit in. It was meant to stand out. And what it was being prepared to do is exactly what we are about to uncover next. You have been carrying something heavy for a very long time. And I do not just mean the bills, or the diagnosis, or the empty chair at the dinner table where someone you loved used to sit. I mean all of it. The betrayal that came from someone who knew your heart. The years you poured yourself into a marriage, a career, a dream and watched it fall apart anyway. The prayers you sent up at 2 a.m. that seemed to dissolve before they reached the ceiling. The children who drifted. The loneliness that moved in like a permanent tenant. The body that started failing before you felt ready. The decade, maybe 2, that felt like nothing but waiting and wondering if God had simply forgotten your name. I know you carried that in silence. I know you smiled on Sunday mornings when you were bleeding on the inside. And I know there were nights, dark, quiet nights, when you looked at your own life and asked the question that terrified you most. Was any of this worth it? Let me tell you something that will shatter that question completely. You were not being destroyed. You were being formed. Not every pain came from God. But God, in his sovereign, relentless, breathtaking love, wasted absolutely none of it. Think about what the olive knows. Before it becomes oil, before it becomes the substance that anoints kings, that fuels lamps, that consecrates altars, it must be crushed completely, without mercy. The pressing is not punishment. The pressing is the point, because what comes out under pressure is what was always inside. And beloved, you have been under pressure for years, which means what is inside you is extraordinary. Think about a blade. A sword is not formed in comfort. It is heated until it glows white hot, then hammered, then plunged into cold water, then heated again, then hammered again, repeated, relentless, painful. But each strike does not weaken it. Each strike aligns it. Each strike makes it sharper, stronger, more precise than it was before. That is what your suffering has been doing to your spirit. Joseph understood this. He did not choose the pit. He did not volunteer for the slave market. He did not apply for 13 years in an Egyptian prison. But Genesis 50-20 tells us the truth that Joseph could only see from the other side. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Every betrayal was positioning him. Every injustice was preparing him. Every night in that prison was developing the character that could carry a palace without losing his soul. What if the very years you thought disqualified you are the years that qualified you? David did not write the 23rd Psalm from a throne room. He wrote it from a cave, hunted like an animal, betrayed by his own king, cold and afraid in the dark. And yet, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. That is not the theology of a man who avoided suffering. That is the declaration of a man who met God in it. Job lost everything: his wealth, his children, his health, his dignity, and his own wife told him to curse God and die. But Job said something that still echoes across 3,000 years. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. That kind of faith is not born in comfort. It is carved out by sorrow. And Job's story did not end in loss. It ended in double restoration. Paul, the man who wrote half the New Testament, said in 2 Corinthians 12, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Paul was not weak despite his calling. Paul's weakness became the very stage where Christ's power was most visible. And now I am asking you, what has your suffering produced in you that ease never could have? Because I will tell you what I see. I see compassion that cannot be manufactured. I see discernment that only comes from being burned and learning the smell of smoke. I see a quieter kind of courage, not loud, not proud, but unshakable, because it was tested in the deepest fire and came out standing. I see scar tissue. And scar tissue, medically and spiritually, is stronger than the original wound. The place that was broken becomes the hardest place to break again. I see roots that grew down through 30 feet of dry ground to find water invisible to everyone watching, but producing fruit that outlasts every drought. That is what you have become through everything you endured. So write this in the comments right now if you receive it. My pain was not pointless. Say it, declare it, because that is not just an affirmation. That is a spiritual weapon aimed directly at every lie that has told you your years were wasted, your prayers were ignored, and your suffering was random. Nothing was random. The caregiving exhaustion that nearly broke you, it built your capacity for selfless love. The financial struggle that humiliated you, it burned away your trust in things that cannot hold you. The unanswered prayers that confused you, they drove your roots deeper into God than answered prayers ever could have. The loneliness that hollowed you out, it created space that only God could fill. The spiritual disappointment that shook your faith, it destroyed the shallow version and built something real in its place. And those years that felt wasted, Those years were not wasted. Those years were working. You did not survive all of that just to end your life in self-doubt. That is not your ending. That is not even close to your ending. Because the same God who let Joseph sit in prison is the same God who opened prison doors and placed a signet ring on his finger. The same God who let David hide in caves is the same God who placed a crown on his head. The same God who let Job sit in ashes is the same God who gave him back double everything he lost. And that same God, that very same God, has been watching everything you have endured. Every sleepless night, every silent tear, every moment you kept your faith when logic said let go. He did not miss a single one. Which means the question is no longer why you suffered. The question now is, what is he about to do with everything he built in you through it? Because something is shifting right now, in this very moment. And what comes next will require every single thing that pain has placed inside you. You spent years trying to fix something that was never broken. You told yourself you were too emotional, too intense, too affected by things that did not seem to touch other people the same way. You watched others walk through situations that leveled you, and they kept moving like nothing happened. And somewhere deep inside, you decided that meant something was wrong with you. You tried to toughen up. You built walls. You told yourself to stop feeling so much, stop carrying so much, stop noticing so much. But it never worked, because you cannot shut down what God designed to stay open. Here is the truth that is going to change the way you see your entire life. Your sensitivity was never the problem. It was the instrument, not a flaw, not a wound, not a liability. An instrument, precision-built, divinely calibrated, placed inside you on purpose, for a purpose that goes far beyond what you have been able to see. You see, there are people in this world who walk into a room and feel nothing. They sit across from someone in pain and miss it completely. They sense no tension. They hear no silence. They notice no shift. And life moves easily for them because they are not carrying what you carry. But chosen one, they are also not seeing what you see. You knew when something was wrong before the phone ever rang. You sensed tension in a room before a single word was spoken. You felt the weight of someone's grief before they told you they were grieving. You woke up at 3 a.m. with a person's name on your heart, and you did not know why, but you prayed anyway. And later you found out they needed that prayer in the worst way. That was not anxiety. That was not weakness. That was not your nervous system misfiring. That was a watchman on the wall. The prophet Elijah collapsed under a juniper tree and told God he had had enough. He was exhausted, emotionally shattered, completely empty. And God did not rebuke him for feeling too much. God fed him twice. And then in 1 Kings 19, when Elijah finally stood at the entrance of that cave, God did not come in the earthquake, not in the fire, not in the great wind that tore the mountains apart. He came in a still, small voice. And Elijah, sensitive, broken, emotionally spent Elijah, heard it. The noise could not hear God. The strong could not hear God. The unbothered could not hear God. The man who felt everything, he heard God. Your sensitivity is not a malfunction. It is a frequency. A spiritual antenna tuned to pick up signals that the loud and the numb will always miss. Jesus said it plainly in John 10, verse 27. My sheep hear my voice. Not everyone hears it. Not everyone is tuned for it. But you have been hearing frequencies your entire life that you could not explain. And instead of trusting it, the world trained you to doubt it. Philippians 1 verse 9 says, love must abound in knowledge and depth of insight. Not just feeling, not just emotion, knowledge, discernment. The ability to perceive what is beneath the surface. That is not ordinary. That is a spiritual gift being described in Scripture. And Hebrews 5 verse 14 says, The mature, those trained by long practice, have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. You have been in training your entire life. Every moment of pain sharpened your perception. Every loss deepened your compassion. Every season of silence refined your ability to hear what others cannot. You were not suffering without purpose. You were being calibrated. Think about the oil lamp. It does not wait for the storm to arrive before it reacts. The flame detects the shift in air pressure, the subtle change in the wind before the storm is visible. That is what you do. You feel the change before anyone else admits it is coming. You sense the crack before the wall falls. You carry concern for people who do not even know yet that they need prayer. That is not a burden. That is a calling. But here is the question that should stop you cold right now. If your sensitivity is actually part of your calling, then why did you spend so many years trying to shut it down? Who taught you that feeling deeply was something to be ashamed of? Who made you believe that the very thing God placed in you was the thing most in need of correction? Because that lie did not come from heaven. It came from a world that does not know what to do with people who carry depth. And you believed it. For decades, you believed it. Stop. The thing you apologized for may be the very place where God hid your strength. Not beside it, not around it, in it. Hidden inside the sensitivity they told you was too much. Hidden inside the tears they told you to hold back. Hidden inside the awareness they told you to ignore. That is where He placed it. If you are ready right now to stop calling your depth a weakness, write this below. God, teach me what my sensitivity is for. Because what you are about to discover in the next part of this message will show you not just what that sensitivity was building, but what it was building toward. And it is bigger than anything you have let yourself believe. You made it through the hook. You are still here. And that tells me everything, because what I am about to say next, this is the part most people never hear. This is the part that will finally make sense of everything you have been carrying. Stay with me. There is a question that lives deep inside people who have walked a long road with God. It does not always have words, but you have felt it. In the quiet moments, in the years that seem to pass without applause, without recognition, without anyone noticing how faithful you were. The question sounds like this. Did any of it matter? All those years of praying when nobody knew you were praying. All those decades of serving when nobody stood up to honor you. All those seasons of staying faithful when you could have walked away and nobody even noticed that you stayed. You watched others get elevated. You watched younger voices get platforms. You watched doors open for people who had not walked half the road you walked. And somewhere deep inside, a whisper started. Quiet at first, then louder. Maybe heaven passed me by. I need you to hear me right now, and hear me clearly. That whisper was a lie. The world has a definition of timing. God has a completely different one. The world says, your most powerful years are behind you. God looks at the same calendar and says, I have been building you for exactly this moment. There is a reason arrows are pulled backward before they are released, not to hold them back, to load them with force. Every year you felt like you were going nowhere, God was pulling the bow. There is a reason wine is stored in darkness, not because it has been forgotten, because darkness is exactly what turns ordinary grapes into something rare, something worth waiting for, something that takes your breath away the moment it is finally poured. That is what God has been doing with you in the hidden years. Moses, 80 years old, 40 of them spent as a fugitive in the desert, tending sheep in a wilderness where nobody could find him. The world had written him off. His own people had likely forgotten his name. And then God spoke from a burning bush and said, now you are ready. Now, not at 25 when he was bold and impulsive, not at 40 when he was confident in his own strength. At 80, when he had been emptied of everything except dependence on God. That is when heaven moved. Anna, 84 years old, a widow who had spent decades in the temple, fasting and praying. No spotlight, no following, no recognition, just quiet, relentless faithfulness in a hidden place. And then the moment came. The most important moment in all of human history walked through the door, and Anna was the one God trusted to recognize it. Not the young, not the celebrated, the faithful. Caleb, 85 years old, standing before Joshua and saying words that should shake something loose in your spirit right now. I am still as strong today as I was the day Moses sent me. Give me this mountain. 85 years old, and he was not asking for a rocking chair. He was asking for the hardest assignment left on the map. Let me ask you something that nobody else is asking you today. What if your most powerful season is not behind you at all? What if everything you have endured, every delay, every disappointment, every decade that felt invisible was not time being wasted on you? What if it was time being invested in you? Joseph spent 13 years in a pit and a prison before he stood in a palace. Not 13 days, 13 years. And when his moment came, every single year of suffering had been building the wisdom, the character, and the unshakable faith he needed to carry what God was about to place in his hands. You cannot rush that process, and God never wastes it. The symphony was not silent, it was tuning. Every instrument finding its note, every musician preparing in the stillness before the conductor raises the baton. To anyone passing by, it sounds like nothing. It sounds like noise. It sounds like confusion. But to the trained ear, that is the sound of something magnificent, getting ready to begin. That is the sound of your life right now. If you are over 50, over 60, over 70, and you refuse to believe that heaven is done with you, I need you to type it boldly right now. Do not whisper it. Declare it. I am not finished, because God is not finished. Abraham and Sarah were past every human deadline when heaven said, now is the time for the promise. Simeon waited his entire life for one moment of fulfillment, and when it came, it was worth every single year. The seed does not break the surface on your timeline. It breaks the surface when the root is deep enough to hold the weight of what is coming. You were not hidden because you were forgotten. You were hidden because God was preparing weight for your words. And the world is about to feel every year of it. The question is no longer whether God has been working. The question now is this: are you ready to find out what He was building you for? Stay with me, because what I am about to say next is going to change the way you see yourself for the rest of your life. You came into this message carrying a story about who you are, where you went wrong, why life turned out the way it did. And somewhere along the way, through disappointment, through loss, through years of carrying more than any one person should have to carry, you started believing that story was true. Too old, too emotional, too damaged, too late, too quiet, too broken, too insane. Let me ask you something that nobody has ever asked you directly. Who told you that? Who handed you those labels and convinced you to wear them like they were yours? Because I promise you, those words did not come from God. They came from pain. They came from people who were too small to understand your size. They came from seasons that were never meant to define you, only to develop you. And you have been looking at yourself in a dirty mirror for so long that you forgot what your real reflection looks like. The mirror is getting wiped clean right now. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Not your circumstances, not your history, your mind. Because the battlefield was never your past. The battlefield has always been the story you keep telling yourself about your past. And the enemy knows that if he can keep you agreeing with the wrong story, he never has to fight you. You will defeat yourself. But that agreement ends today. 2 Corinthians 5:17 declares it, without apology. If anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone. The new is here. Not the new is coming. Not the new is possible. The new is here. Right now. In this moment. In the middle of everything you have been through. Those false name tags are falling off you right now. Every label that was pinned to your chest by someone who never truly saw you gone. Every lie that took root in the soil of your suffering uprooted. Every chain that has been wrapped around your mind, telling you that you are too far gone, too used up, too forgotten, loosening. Because here is the truth that changes everything. You were not damaged by your life. You were deepened by it. There is a difference, and that difference is everything. The person who has never suffered cannot comfort the broken. The person who has never doubted cannot truly encourage the lost. The person who has never walked through fire cannot lead others through the flames. But you have been through things that would have destroyed someone without your particular kind of strength. And you are still here, still standing, still breathing, still believing. That is not an accident. That is architecture. Isaiah 61:3 calls it a crown of beauty instead of ashes. God does not waste the ashes of your life. He crowns you with them. Every hard season, every broken relationship, every door that closed in your face, every dream that died before it could live, God was not absent in those moments. He was building something in you that comfort never could have built. Ephesians 2:10 says you are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance. In advance, before you understood the plan, before you could see the purpose, before the pain even arrived, God had already written what it would produce in you. You were not too late. You were being formed for a later season assignment. And later season assignments require a depth of character that only time and endurance can forge. So let me speak to every person right now who has spent years feeling invisible, feeling passed over, feeling like everyone else got the blessing and you got the burden. God does not give burdens to people He does not trust. He gives burdens to people He is preparing. You are not just someone who has been through a lot. You are someone God has been forming on purpose, with precision, for a moment that is closer than you think. The old script, the one written by your failures, your fears, your lowest moments, that script is being torn up right now. And a new one is being placed in your hands. Not the script of a victim, the script of someone marked, someone refined, someone trusted with depth, because shallow waters were never your assignment. Pause for 1 second and say this out loud wherever you are. I will not agree with the wrong story anymore. Say it like you mean it, because the moment you stop agreeing with the lie loses its power over you. You are not who pain told you that you are. So the real question, the question that should be burning in your spirit right now, is this. If that was never your true identity, then who are you really becoming? Because that answer is what everything that comes next is built on. And what is coming next is the path that will finally make sense of everything you have survived. You felt it, didn't you? Something shifted in you just now. Something that was sleeping for a long time just opened its eyes. That is not coincidence. That is not emotion. That is your spirit beginning to recognize itself. And I need you to stay with me here, because what I am about to tell you is something the world never taught you, the culture never honored, and the noise around you never allowed you to hear. True strength is not loud. It never was. The most powerful forces on this earth make no sound. The roots of an oak tree do not announce themselves. They whisper quietly. They whisper softly. They whisper The foundation beneath a 100-year-old house does not ask for applause. A river carving stone does not rage, it simply moves. Steady, persistent, unstoppable. That is the kind of strength rising inside you right now. Not the kind that needs to win every argument. Not the kind that collapses when someone withdraws their approval. Not the kind that chases every open door just because it is open. But the kind that stands in a storm and says, I know who I am, and I know whose I am, and that is enough. The Bible does not say God gave you a spirit of fear. 2 Timothy 1-7 says, He gave you power, love, and a sound mind. Not noise, not aggression, not performance. Power. Deep. Settled. God-placed power. But here is the question nobody asks you. If that power was already placed inside you, why have you been living like you needed permission to use it? Think about how many times you stayed quiet when truth needed to be spoken. How many times you said yes when your spirit said no. How many times you made yourself smaller, not because you were small, but because you were afraid of what would happen if people finally saw how large you really are. That ends today, because quiet strength does not mean silence. It means clarity. It means you no longer say yes out of guilt. You no longer carry burdens that were never assigned to you by God. You no longer reshape yourself every time someone becomes uncomfortable with who you are. Psalm 46:10 does not say worry less. It says, be still and know that I am God. That word know is not passive. It is a declaration, a positioning of the soul. It means you plant your feet, you lift your head, and you say, I am not moved by what is moving around me. For those of you who have lived long enough to have real scars, this is your moment. Because the strength I am describing is not for the young and untested. It is for the ones who have been through enough to know that God never once let them go. That is not theory. That is testimony. You have been through financial pressure that should have broken you. You have been through relational pain that should have hardened you. You have been through seasons of waiting so long that hope itself felt foolish. And yet here you are, not perfect, not without wounds, but standing. Proverbs 4:18 says, the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn. It keeps shining brighter, not dimmer, not flickering out, brighter. That means your greatest light is not behind you. It is still rising, and every single year you have lived has not been taking light away from you, it has been adding it. This is what quiet strength looks like in real life. It looks like praying with confidence instead of begging with fear. It looks like trusting God's pace even when your timeline makes no sense. It looks like carrying peace into a chaotic room and watching the temperature change without saying a single word. It looks like a lamp that burns through the darkest part of the night, not because someone is watching, but because that is simply what it was made to do. Colossians 3:15 tells you to let the peace of Christ rule in your heart. That word rule means to act as an umpire to call the final decision. That means peace is not just a feeling you hope to find. It is an authority you are called to walk in. So let me ask you something that will follow you long after this message ends. What begins to change in your life when you stop asking the world for permission to be who God formed you to be? Everything changes. The relationships change, the decisions change, the way you wake up in the morning changes, because you are no longer living from a place of need, you are living from a place of knowing. If you are ready for a quieter, deeper, unshakable strength, write this below right now. Let peace become my power. Say it like you mean it, because you do. Your next season will not be built on proving yourself. It will not be built on performance, on applause, or on finally getting the recognition you deserved years ago. It will be built on one thing and one thing alone, knowing who you are. And that knowing is exactly where we are going next. Now I need you to stay with me, because what I am about to tell you goes far beyond anything you have heard about yourself. You have been thinking about your strength as something personal, something private, something that was built just to keep you alive. But that is only half the truth, and the half you are missing will change everything. God did not spend decades building endurance into your spirit just so you could survive your own life. He was building something in you that somebody in this world is desperately waiting to receive. Your strength was never only for you. Psalm 92:14 says it, "With a holy clarity that should shake your bones, they shall still bear fruit in old age. They shall be fresh and flourishing, not were, not used to be, shall, present, active, right now." That is a prophetic declaration written specifically over the season you are standing in today. The enemy has been lying to you. He has whispered that your best years are behind you, that the fire you once carried has gone dim, that the world has moved on and left you somewhere behind it. But I am telling you that whisper is not from God. God does not build a well for 40 years and then seal it shut. He builds it so it can give water. Think about that image for a moment. An old well, dug deep into the earth over decades, weathered, worn on the outside. And yet when someone lowers that bucket down into the dark, what comes up? Pure water. Cold, clean, life-giving water. That is you, chosen one. That is exactly what you are. The depth of everything you have endured, the losses, the silences, the long nights, the prayers that felt like they went unanswered, all of it was digging you deeper, not to bury you, to make room for what God was going to pour through you. 2 Corinthians 1-3-4 does not say God comforts you so you can feel better and move on. It says He comforts you so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Your pain was always meant to become a passageway. Your healing was always meant to become a river that flows to somebody else's drought. Now hear me clearly, because this is where it gets personal. There are younger people in your family, in your neighborhood, in your church, in your city, who are standing exactly where you once stood, confused, overwhelmed, feeling like they are too broken to be chosen, feeling like the weight they carry is proof that something is wrong with them. And they do not need a motivational speech. They do not need an internet video. They need you. They need someone who has walked through the same fire and did not get burned up. They need someone whose testimony is not theoretical, it is earned. Your scars are now a language only the suffering can understand. Your survival is now a testimony that no seminary degree can manufacture. Your depth, the very thing the world tried to use to make you feel like too much, is now shelter for somebody who has nowhere else to go. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world." Not were, not could be, are. And a city on a hill cannot be hidden. God did not build something this powerful in you to keep it covered. So let me ask you the question that heaven itself is asking right now. If God formed this strength in you over decades, over losses, over prayers, over scars, then who is waiting on the other side of your obedience? Who is waiting for you to open your mouth and speak what only endurance can teach? Who is waiting for the steady calm that only someone who has survived storms can carry into a room? Who is waiting for the prayer warrior, the spiritual mother, the truth teller, the wise witness, the quiet reconciler, the one who has been through enough to know that God is still faithful even when everything looks finished? That person exists right now, today, and the enemy knows it. This is why he has spent years trying to convince you that you are too old, too tired, too scarred, too late. Because the moment you understand that your pain was preparation, not punishment, everything shifts. The moment you stop hiding your story and start releasing it, something breaks open in the spirit that he cannot stop. Titus 2-3-5 is not a suggestion. It is a divine assignment. the older generation teaching the younger. Not because the young are weak, but because some things can only be learned from someone who has already walked through the dark and come out carrying light. You are that person. You are the seasoned oak, giving shade to lives that are still too young to know how brutal the sun can get. You are the torch that does not pass out, it passes on. The enemy wanted your pain to end with you. God wants your healing to flow through you. So right now, if you receive this assignment, type this in the comments below. My strength will serve somebody, because the story is not over. It is not even close to over. And somebody is still waiting for the chapter that only you can write. Stay with me right now, because everything we have walked through together, every question, every moment of recognition, every truth that landed somewhere deep inside your chest, it has all been leading to this. This is the moment the full picture becomes clear. You have spent years, maybe decades, trying to explain yourself to people who could not understand you. You tried to explain why you felt so deeply, why you carried so much, why the silence inside you was louder than the noise around you, why life seemed harder for you than it appeared to be for everyone else. And when no one could explain it, you did what most people do. You turned it inward. You told yourself something must be wrong with you, but I need you to hear this, and I need you to let it go all the way down into your bones. Nothing was wrong with you. The depth you felt was not damage. The intensity you carried was not disorder. The years that felt like delay were not abandonment. Every single thing you have been through, every season, every sorrow, every silent night was not punishment. It was preparation. Romans 8:18 says it plainly. The sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is going to be revealed. Not the glory that might be revealed. Not the glory that could be revealed if you do everything right. The glory that is going to be revealed. That means it was already decided. Before the suffering started, the glory was already guaranteed. Think about what that means for your life. Every door that closed on you, already accounted for. Every relationship that broke you, already accounted for. Every year you felt invisible, overlooked, passed over, and forgotten, already accounted for. God was not surprised by any of it. He was building something through all of it. James 1:2-4 tells us that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and endurance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. Lacking nothing. That is the destination. But mature and complete does not happen in comfort. It does not happen in ease. It does not happen in seasons where everything goes according to plan. It happens in the fire. You know what thunder is? It is not just sound. Thunder is what happens when lightning tears through the atmosphere with so much force that the air itself cracks open. But before that sound reaches you, before you ever hear it, that energy has been building inside the cloud. Stored, compressed, pressurized. That is what God has been doing inside you. You could not hear it. You could not see it. Some days you could barely feel it. But heaven was storing something in you that could not be manufactured overnight. Something that required weight and time and pressure and endurance. Iron does not become steel in comfort. It has to be pulled from the fire, hammered, cooled, and returned to the fire again. That process is not cruel. That process is the point. Isaiah 43:2 says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned." Not if you pass through the waters. When? God never promised you a life without fire. He promised you a presence in the fire. And the reason you are still here, still standing, still breathing, is because that presence never left you, not once, not for a single moment, not even in the darkest night you have ever lived through. Now I want to ask you something that might shake you. What if your pain was never the story? What if your pain was only the evidence of the story? Evidence that something inside you was strong enough to carry what most people never could. You were not still here because life went easy on you. You are still here because something inside you refused to die. And that's something, that quiet, unshakable, impossible to extinguish force that is not yours alone. Philippians 1-6 says, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion." He began it. He has been carrying it. And he has not finished yet. This is the revelation that changes everything. The reason your journey was this intense is because your calling is this weighty. The reason your training was this long is because your capacity had to be this deep. The reason you are still here is because heaven is not finished speaking through your life. You did not merely endure, you were built. And now I need you to receive what I am about to say, not just in your mind, but in the deepest room of your spirit. You were never too much. You were carrying too much strength for small places. You were never behind. You were being formed beneath the surface. You were never weak. You were a deep spirit trying to survive shallow explanations. An old bell, one that has hung in silence for years. When it is finally rung, its sound does not travel a few feet. It carries across miles, because the longer the silence, the deeper the resonance. That is your voice now. That is your life now. The question is no longer whether God was working. The evidence is standing right in front of you. You are the evidence. The only question left, the one heaven is asking you right now, is this: if all of this has been preparation, what is God asking you to do now? Write this below before we go any further. Write it where someone else can see it and be strengthened by it. I know now that God was building me, because the door that was sealed for years is not just opening, it is already open, and what walks through it is you, chosen one. Stay with me just a little longer, because what I am about to speak over your life is not a conclusion, it is a beginning. You came into this message carrying something heavy. Maybe it was exhaustion, maybe it was confusion, maybe it was the quiet, aching feeling that somehow after all these years life had passed you by, that your best chapters were already written, that God had moved on to younger, louder, more visible people. And I need you to hear this, hear it down in the marrow of your bones. That was never the truth. That was a lie dressed up in weariness. Look at what this message has uncovered in you today. Your life has not been random. Every detour had a destination. Every closed door was redirecting you. Every night you cried yourself to sleep was not abandonment. It was the darkness before something God was growing in. You finally broke through the ground. Your pain was not pointless. Your sensitivity was not weakness. Your hidden years were not wasted. And your age, your beautiful, battle-proven age, is not your disqualification. It is your credentials. Moses did not stand before Pharaoh at 30 years old. He stood there at 80. Caleb asked for his mountain at 85. Anna spent decades in the temple, and God saved her greatest moment, the moment she laid eyes on the Messiah for the very end of her life. You are not too late. You are right on time. Now, I am going to speak something directly over you, not as entertainment, not as encouragement, but as commission. From this moment forward, you are released from every false label that was ever placed on you. You are released from too sensitive, from too old, from too much, from not enough, from too broken to be used. Every agreement you ever made with those lies, it ends here. It ends now. You are commissioned to walk in peace, a peace that the world did not give you and the world cannot take away. You are commissioned to use your voice, the voice that has been silenced too many times by too many rooms that were not ready for what you carried. You are commissioned to stop shrinking, to stop apologizing for the depth of your spirit, to stop making yourself smaller so that people who were never meant to define you could feel more comfortable. You are commissioned to bless others not from a place of depletion, but from a place of healed strength. because Psalm 139 verse 14 was not written about anyone else. It was written about you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And the God who made you does not make mistakes. Now let me pray over you. Heavenly Father, right now, in this sacred moment, I lift up every person who has stayed until this final word. Lord, you see them, not the version they show the world, the real one, the tired one, the one who has been quietly faithful in the dark for years, without applause, without recognition, without anyone telling them they were doing enough. Father, I ask you to break every agreement they have ever made with a false identity. Silence the voice that told them they were forgotten. Heal the places that are still carrying shame they were never meant to carry. Restore the confidence that was taken from them in seasons they did not deserve. God, awaken purpose in their later years with fire and with clarity. Strengthen the ones who are weary in body but mighty in spirit. Make the hidden strength you placed in them visible to themselves first, and then to the world around them. Fill them now, right now, with your peace that surpasses all understanding. Fill them with courage for what is ahead. Fill them with the unshakable knowing that they are seen, they are chosen, and they are loved beyond anything this world could ever measure. In the name of Jesus, who endured the cross so that they could carry a crown, I seal this prayer. Amen. Now, before you leave this place, I need one thing from you. If this message found you at exactly the right moment, share it right now. Think of one person, one face that just appeared in your mind who has forgotten their strength. Who needs to hear that their life is not over, that God is not finished? Send it to them today. You may not know it, but you could be the reason they do not give up tonight. If you are ready for messages that go beyond the surface, messages that speak to the deep, unspoken places in your spirit, subscribe to this channel, because there is more. God has more for you, and we are just getting started. And before you go, I want you to write one final declaration in the comments below. Not for me, for yourself. Write this: my spirit is stronger than I knew. Say it. Declare it. Let it be the first sentence of the next chapter of your life, because you are not a forgotten soul trying to make it through the last chapter. You are a chosen life still being unfolded by the hand of God, and the strength you needed for what is next has been in you all along.